What's up, everybody? It's Leo Birenberg.
Zach Robinson. Thank you, Leo.
You can't say your own name.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. I forgot how to do this. Go.
What's up, everybody? It's Leo Birenberg, Zach Robinson. We're the composers of Cobra Kai, Twisted Metal, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man.
Can't forget that one. Obliterated, Weird the Al Yankovic Story.
And we are gonna talk about some stuff. Workflow is king. Like that, I feel like that's why it initially worked.
Totally.
Because we we worked at the same studio when we were first starting out, and so we had all the same file naming structures and used all the same software and had our templates set up basically the same. And so it was super easy to just like trade files and also like add files to the same folder without wanting to strangle each other, which like if we were using different naming conventions would have happened very quickly.
I know when we work with like other people and they name things differently,
It's like chaos.
I'm gonna have an aneurysm.
Yeah.
Like it's no one's fault. It's just like, but we don't have to deal with that when we're working.
Our way is
with
the
each
best
other.
way.
That is definitely true.
Yes.
And yeah, on top of that, like we just like all the same stuff. So it's a pretty easy collaborative process when we're always on like the same wavelength with nearly every creative decision.
Yeah. Okay, it's like that famous, I don't know like whose quote this is, but there's like a quote about like armies, and it's like something about like bad generals like win battles and like good generals like set up logistics. Everything is logistics. And like I think about this all the time because like you come out of like you study music, or like whether it's like privately on your own, or you like go to conservatory. We both went to college and studied music theory, and you know how to write music. And in theory, if you have a knack for it, you know how to like put the music to picture and write something that like enhances the audience's emotional experience. What you don't know how to do is just the logistics of writing a film score. And we worked for Chris Beck, super busy composer of the last 20 years, 25 years. And like, I think every day at the beginning, I was just like astounded by like, oh, this is how you actually get through, a reel of a movie, an entire movie. 2 movies at the same time. Like it's this logistical song and dance, and like being super organized, and like why the workflow systems in your studio exist the way they exist. And it all starts to make sense when you like see the logistics behind the battlefield. And so I feel like we really latched onto that and basically like carried it into our own like private composing lives. And it's also just like central to our ability to work with each other.
And I think from a creative standpoint, if Leo was talking about like the logistical information with this, like from the creative standpoint, like I remember when I used to watch Chris write, and this really goes for any kind of seasoned veteran composer, it was amazing to see like how fast he wrote and how fast veterans can write. And I think now, having a bunch of years under my belt, I've discovered that like we have as composers a toolkit that we often have specific tools for specific scenes. And that just accumulates over time. We know how to approach scoring an emotional scene. We know how to approach scoring an action scene. There's certain like tools that you always reach for those moments. So like, I think having the perspective of just, and especially in TV when you're just like writing so much music, things become less scary and less intimidating the more that you're asked to use the tools.
We're very enthusiasm first. Sometimes I think our enthusiasm comes from weird places. Like we'll spot something, and like something that it might not feel like it's like a Leo thing. I will suddenly just be like, I want to score that scene. Like I have an idea for this, and it's like not my usual cup of tea. And I think we're both kind of just like musically curious like that. Like we're often interested in things that we're not necessarily comfortable with, which is why I think all of our scores sound like super different, and why we like, I don't know, are always trying to do something super different so that we're kind of like learning a bit too. Like it's not just, I want to do that because I know how to do it. It's like, I want to do that because I want to crack that code.
Leo's a king of hobbies. This man has so many hobbies, and he will happily talk to you about them.
It's funny because I really never considered that until recently, but I guess it's true.
You have more hobbies than I think any person I know.
What are my hobbies?
Baking, making marmalade, gardening, reciting Shakespeare in bed.
That does happen.
Reading.
Working out.
Working out, yeah.
I've got a
Cooking.
dog. That's the bit, like, a lot of musical ideas come up when you're walking the dog.
Definitely.
So, like, the dog hobby really feeds into the composing.
Yeah. I mean, we both think, and we really agree on this, is that you just need to have time away from the studio.
Yeah.
Like, whatever you're doing. Like, it can be watching TV, it can be doing one of Leo's many hobbies. You just need to have that space, because almost instantaneously, the second you get back into the studio, you'll feel so much fresher, and ideas just naturally come. It's always worked out for both of us. Like, we've never been two people who are just like locking ourselves in the room, working and working and working. We take breaks often. We have weekends. Like, we do activities. We spend time with our family. Like, it's, that's just a big part of the job, honestly.
It's like those sleep science studies about how, like, when you're asleep and in, like, in REM or in deep sleep, like your brain is like organizing all the information from the day. And I feel like when you're out of the studio, you're actually getting more done towards what you need to write than if you were just sitting there trying to write it. Because like you're focused on something totally different, but your brain is organizing the ideas because it knows what needs to happen.
You ever just like randomly wake up in the middle of the night because you're dreaming of like working on a cue or something and like have to like run down to the studio or anything?
That's never happened to me.
I have had that happen. I was in the bathtub once. It was something we were doing for Obliterated.
Okay.
Oh, it actually was the track White Russian on the
It's a great
Obliterated
track.
album.
It's a great
and
track.
I was sitting in the bathtub like listening to some like EDM, and it suddenly clicked for me like how this like giant sequence needed to like work with, like we were doing kind of this like crazy EDM, a 90s action movie mashup in that show. And like it like the example finally clicked for me, and I had like a riff, and I literally got out of the bathtub naked, dripping wet, and like went over and punched it into the computer. Like,
So sparks flying everywhere. It's like,
yes, yeah. Zach is the most musically versatile person I know.
Wow.
Like, styles I haven't even heard of, he knows 30 bands by and like can tell me the difference between them. And so like I feel like I am just constantly in like sponge mode, learning about
That's
music.
nice. Yeah.
And you will like play some cue that you've written and be like, yeah, it's like this style, and I'm like, I've never heard of that. And then I will spend the next 3 months like figuring out
going
how to
into
do that.
beautiful
Like,
mind mode.
Yes, yeah. Exactly. Like,
Well, and that's what Leo's really good at. Leo is really good at absorbing like techniques and musical styles, and then goes like really, really, really hard into that. And it's very inspiring for me to work with him on that. But yeah, I mean, I think, and it's just something we both value is like is listening to a lot of different styles of music, not just listening, but like enjoying. And I think you're asked in this job to do a lot of genre bending, and we like to approach it from like an authentic space. So I always say, like, as a composer, you do research by just like listening to as much music as possible so that you can create it in a genuine fashion. There's so much film music that's just kind of like, sounds
like film music.
Here's the film composer version of synthwave,
right.
Or, and we try to say, like, when a director says like, oh, I really like this kind of like acid jazz fusion track, which has never happened, but if they did say that, we would know how to approach it from an authentic standpoint.
Yes.
Well, we love putting together like Spotify playlists of like not necessarily film music, just bands and stuff. Sometimes we share it with collaborators, directors we're working with, and it's always fun. I mean, that's like, it's really cool to just like, very often I'm listening to something and I just say, oh, like there's something cinematic in this song. Like let's extrapolate from it.
That show has been such a huge journey for us. Like we've been working on it for 7 years, and like this is like a 15 episode final season broken into 3 parts, and like the stakes have never been higher, the scale has never been higher. But then most importantly, like, it's got to be the end of the show. I don't think we've ever like done that before, where it's like you really are at like, you have to write a finale that's like the end of the era, both for the audience and for you. And it needs to be like the type of thing that makes you cry, not because of like, you know, smile because it happened, not because like it's ending type of thing. And like, and that's where you want, like if you were watching the show, that's how you want it to leave you. And I think like that's probably where like the most pressure of the final season came in, was just like making sure we landed the plane. And I think we always had our eye on that going through the whole season. And so by the time we get to those last few episodes, we were like, we had really teed it up and could kind of like take advantage of what was like a really good script and performances that totally landed the plane, to just like give it the, you know, the final movie treatment.
We never had any moments of self-doubt in those final episodes. I think like we always kind of knew it would just happen if we just sat down and wrote how we felt. And I mean, the show is just such a part of our personality. Like the music of the show is such a part of our personalities. It was very natural. Like, I don't think we ever sat down and were just like, this isn't worthy of the finale. Like we just, everything you hear is actually mostly V1s. And it's kind of crazy, like looking back on it, just having 6 months out from it, just like, whoa, like we wrote a lot of music and like, I kind of like blacked out from that whole process. It was about half a year long.
Yeah, and I actually think the kind of summer break between the seasons, again, it's kind of the same theory as like the sleep science thing. Like every season we would end and be like, how are we going to top that? Like they just get bigger and bigger and bigger, and we think we're out of ideas. And then by the time the episode 1 of the new season rolls around, we're like, oh man, we're so ready to do this. And whatever we had been working on or listening to in the meantime, like finds its way in there, because it's just like some new musical infusion that just works its way.
Sometimes it's like, if you know, when you haven't worked out in a while and you go back to the gym and your muscles are kind of weak, but it's there, like you still have good form, and it's just maybe you're not lifting as much as you want to be. Like, I think for me personally, there were maybe the first couple episodes getting back into it, like there's always a cue, I think, that like where we would text each other, be like, okay, I'm back, I'm in it, I'm in it. But like I remember kind of like the first couple of cues when you start up a Cobra Kai
you gotta
season.
shake off some crust.
Exactly. It's really like shaking off crust for sure. Cobra Kai is a very guitar-centric score, as we've established over the past 6 seasons, and we work with some incredible guitar players. Andrew Sinowick has played on every season. Every episode, yeah. Myron has played on not every episode, but every season. And this year we wanted to reach out to some new collaborators to just expand the sound. So one of the people we reached out to is a guitarist named Charlie Robbins, who like I had just been following on Instagram, and he has a really specific style and technique is a pretty like sleek, just unbelievable chops. Like Charlie is a really, really great guitar player, and he also is really interested in guitar colors that are a bit more like Spanish flavored, which was perfect. The tournament takes place in Barcelona, so we had him collaborate. We collaborated with him on tons of stuff this season. We're just sending him tracks, and he's heavily featured on the track called Iron Dragons, if you want to check that out. And then of course we got Tim Henson of Polyphia, which was really exciting for us. We had a mutual connection to him, and we heard he was interested in doing some film music stuff. So we had a meeting with him, and we had an idea, like we wanted the cues. We had 2 cues for him, and we really wanted to feature Tim in his voice for those cues. So we really kind of wrote around his style and his technique and worked to really make it feel like it was a Tim Henson track or Polyphia track. And it's really cool because people watch the show and they know immediately. Yeah. So it's really special to have both of those guitar players join us. Thank you, Soundiron, for having us. Keep an eye out for Twisted Metal Season 2 coming out July 31st, and listen to all the Cobra Kai soundtracks that you can.
Please.